Alright, this is a video on left hand placement. Specifically, how do we want to set up our left hand to optimize our intonation and vibrato? So, as I've talked about in other videos, we want to keep a space between the palm of our hand and our thumb. So the violin sits here on kind of the top of this bump, which is made by our knuckle on our index finger, our base knuckle, and it sits between there and like the pad of our thumb right here. So there's just this big space down there, so we want to keep that space, and we also want to make sure that our wrist is making a straight line and that it's not bent like that. So some other things to look out for with our left hand are that we want to make sure that we're rotating our arm such that we're rotating it outward towards our pinky. And we also want to bring our elbow forward too when we do this. And that'll make it easier to reach with our fourth finger. So you can see how my fourth finger is curved when I'm in this position, even on the G string. So we want to have kind of a sense of reaching back with our index finger, with our first finger. So that way, it makes it easier to reach with our fourth finger, and it makes it easier to keep all of our fingers over the strings. So another thing we want to look out for is, so one is just that we don't want to have our hand too high up. This reduces this space here, and it's going to make it a little bit more difficult to shift to do vibrato and to play in tune. We're just going to have a little bit more freedom, and it's also going to prevent, most importantly, our hand from collapsing like that. So you can also see how my thumb is between my first and second fingers. It's just slightly in front of my first finger. So likewise, if I put my thumb too far back, it closes up that space. So I'm going to keep my thumb a little bit forward. And that's going to make it easier to have room to vibrate. So if I'm kind of more closed up like this, I don't have as much room to vibrate, and it's also going to be a little bit harder to shift because I also have just less freedom of motion.